Welcome to part 3 of the Quitting Weed Masterclass, Building Your Recovery, brought to you by Addiction Mindset Recovery Coaching Programs. In today's video, I'm going to share some incredible content with you guys when it comes to quitting smoking weed and making sure that you don't relapse or return back to smoking. Now, if you haven't already watched parts 1 and part 2, I would highly urge you to do that, or this is not going to make a lot of sense. I've linked part 1 and part 2 in the video description in the pinned comment of this video. Now, for those of you who have watched part 1 and part 2, I want to congratulate you. If you look here at these thumbnails, I linked part 1 and part 2, and you can see part 1 was posted 13 days ago, and it garnished 8,700 views. Part 2 was posted 6 days ago, and it garnished 2,800 views. If I extrapolate this out over time, in about 10 days, part 2 is going to have about 4,000 views, and part 1 is going to have about 10,000 views. The reality is, I'm giving all of this content away for free, and about 4,000 people will have chosen not to sit through this content despite having initially wanted to quit smoking weed. So if you've made it this far, I want to take a moment and congratulate you because you made it and there's 4,000 people who didn't. And that gap is only going to get bigger and bigger and bigger the longer this content sits on YouTube. We'll see even less people go from part 2 to part 3 of this video. So I just wanted to start off by congratulating those of you who have been here since the beginning of this Quitting Weed Masterclass. You did it. I did not quit for you. You quit for you. You chose to be here, and I want you to do everything you can to embrace your newfound sobriety and recovery process. If something is currently working for you, the best thing that you can do is rinse, wash, and repeat. The reality of my content is you don't need me. You don't need me to quit for you. You don't need to pay for one-on-one coaching. You don't need any of that. But what you do need is a will to quit, and you need an outlook for a better future for yourself. And I want you to take a moment and acknowledge that you are the one doing this. That's an incredible thing. And by acknowledging that, you're going to start to build that sense of self-worth and self-confidence back. So don't think for 1 second, yeah, I might have helped you along the way, but don't think for 1 second that this wasn't 100% you. I want to start by just refreshing on what's going on in your body when you quit smoking weed. We talked about this a lot in parts 1 and part 2. Remember, your endocannabinoid system is rebalancing. So when you consume cannabis or weed, the THC, the active phytocannabinoid, binds to these receptors in your body and it activates the endocannabinoid system. It's responsible for motor activity or movements. It's responsible for our thinking. It's responsible for our appetite, for our short-term memory, for our pain perception, for our digestion, for our immune system cells, for our temperature regulation and emotional processing. So if you're about 2 weeks in or so from when we launched this, and you're going through those weed withdrawal symptoms and you're going through this rebalancing of your endocannabinoid system, I just want to reassure you that what you're experiencing is completely normal. When people say weed is not physically addictive, that could not be farther from the truth, simply based on how the phytocannabinoids found in cannabis interact with all the receptors on your central nervous system. It impacts almost every aspect of your body, both physically and mentally. So if you're going through it right now, this is why. And if you're approaching that 2-week mark of quitting, things should be starting to rebalance. Things should be starting to look on the bright side. For today's video, I want to keep in mind the motto, always remember your focus determines your reality. Where your focus goes, your energy flows. And the purpose of part 3 today is to help you guys hone in on your focus throughout this recovery and sobriety process so you can maximize all of those positive traits that you have that we talked about in part 2. So you can maximize the momentum, so you can maximize the discipline, so you can maximize the grit, so you can maximize the persistence and get the most out of your life by applying those traits to things that actually matter. That's what today is all about. And we're going to tell you how to build on each of those positive characteristics that you inherently already have. I want to start by reminding you what the point of your quitting process was. Why did you quit? There was a reason. Was it for better health? Was it for more money? Was it to reclaim your time? Was it for your relationships? Was it to strengthen your faith or to reclaim faith in yourself? You quit for a reason. And those reasons are rooted in the things that it is you need to be focused on and the things that you need to be working on. If money and financial trouble was your biggest issue, get to work. If you've lost faith in yourself or lost faith in a faith-based community that you were once part of, get to work. If addiction has damaged and broken your relationships through dishonesty and a lack of trust, get to fixing those relationships. You quit for a very specific reason or set of reasons. And this is where your focus, this is where your attention should be turning to throughout this recovery process. So many times people get tied up in the quitting process that they forget the reasons why they were actually quitting and they lose sight of the end goals. And this is often where we see relapse occur. No one wants to be quitting a drug forever. You made the decision to quit. It was a one-time decision, and now you have other stuff that needs to be addressed, and it needs to be addressed immediately. If you are watching this as how I've posted the videos over the course of the last 2 weeks, chances are you're going to run into the 2-week hump. And usually at 2 weeks, we actually see a lot of relapse with people. And there's a few reasons why that is. The most common, I would say, is the celebratory relapse. And we're going to spend a lot of time today talking about this. But this is where you're actually starting to feel better because your endocannabinoid system is rebalancing, your dopamine is rebalancing. And you say, you know what? I'm feeling so good. I'm just going to chase this high that I got by returning and smoking a little bit more weed. Don't fall for the celebratory relapse. It gets people all the time. Maybe you're quitting and you still feel like crap. Maybe you're experiencing some of those post-acute withdrawal symptoms that we addressed in part 2 of this 3-part series. Don't fall for it. What often happens is people will watch videos like mine or they'll read pages on Reddit and people are saying, oh my God, I quit for a month. I feel so much better. But for some reason, you still feel like crap. And then what happens? You say, I'm unique. I'm different. Quitting doesn't apply to me. I knew they didn't understand my situation. I knew they didn't understand my circumstances, my health. And then we wind up relapsing because for some reason we think we're so different from everyone else. And this occurs because of how addiction and that addictive voice in our brain manipulates us into thinking that quitting is impossible. Don't fall for this. And the best way to not fall for this is by stopping comparing your journey to other people's journeys when it comes to quitting. I want to remind you, timelines are not perfect. And that includes the timelines that I've shared with you guys throughout the creation of this masterclass. False expectations, I would highly encourage you to let go of them. And these false expectations are often brought to light through timelines. So, one, how do you do this? Let go of timelines, let go of expectations. You are currently living in your reality that you created. And it is your responsibility to deal with it or get the support that you need to manage it. Okay? That is our responsibility to do that. It's not someone else's. It's not based on some timeline. Don't expect things to happen. Make things happen. I promise you throughout this sobriety process, things are not going to go as planned. Things are not going to go as I tell you they're going to go. Things are not going to go how they went for your friends who have quit in the past. It's our responsibility to create opportunity. Opportunity is not going to fall into our laps. This is one of the incredible lessons that I learned throughout my own addiction recovery process from things like weed, nicotine, adult media content, and stimulant based products like heavy energy drinks and pre workout products. We create the opportunity. It does not fall into our laps. And everyone watching this right now is currently experiencing that opportunity as they're quitting, or they're at that point where they're thinking about reaching out and grasping it. This is not a time to celebrate. I want to reemphasize the celebratory relapse. The party is not over, okay? Or the party is over, I guess. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Look, your sobriety and recovery journey has just begun. Okay, sobriety and quitting drugs is the most important step, but it's only the first step. And I'm proud of you if you've made it this far, just like I was proud of myself looking back on my own journey. But this is not a time to celebrate. If you've been spending the last several years in addiction, even if you have built a successful life for yourself, there is nothing to be celebrated just yet. There's work that needs to be done. There's areas of your life that your focus and attention needs to be on. And that's where we want to hone in on. Have you been here before and what went wrong? For a lot of people, they're going to celebrate when they hit 2 weeks of sobriety, 3 months of sobriety, a year of sobriety, despite the fact that at 3 months is where they usually relapse, despite the fact that at a year is where they usually relapse. I want you to pause and take a moment and pause the video if you have to and think about your past quit attempts. How far did you get? And at what point is a celebration really necessary? Be proud of yourself through getting through day one. Be proud of yourself for getting through those first 90 days. Absolutely. But don't celebrate if you've been at 90 days 100 times before, and this is your 100th and 10th time trying to quit and get to that 90-day mark again. We want to see what a year looks like, 2 years, 5 years looks like. We want to break the barriers that we've run into before, and we want to put in the work to get through those barriers. That's when celebration starts to become necessary. Continue to call out that addicted voice. That addicted voice that is not your voice, right, is going to continually try and manipulate you with false expectations and the need for celebrations. Don't fall for it. Call it out. Rinse, wash, repeat. If it's worked for you so far, continue rinsing, washing, and repeating. The 2-week hump. Another common thing that happens outside of relapse for the reasons I just mentioned is the trading of one addiction for another addiction, one negative substance for another negative substance. So I quit smoking weed, but I started drinking more alcohol. I quit smoking weed, but now I smoke cigarettes and watch more adult media content. Don't fall for this. The purpose of quitting is to feel better and to work on the things in your life that are going to make you feel better. But if you're simply trading one negative addiction for another substance or damaging addiction in your life, you're not going to feel better. And this is how we see people who are 3 months, 6 months, a year into sobriety. And then they say, I still feel like crap. Well, yeah, you put down the weed and you picked up the bottle. You put down the weed and you dove into the pornography. You put down the weed and in the process, you picked up smoking cigarettes or popping pills. The goal is to feel better. Don't sabotage all of the hard work and all of the effort that you're putting into this journey, okay? I want you to focus on the next challenge, not the next substance. I want you to focus on the next goal, not the next drug. Don't fall for this. I fell for it a million times myself. The 2 week hump. I have some simple techniques for you guys that I think could be beneficial if you are still battling cravings, one of which I talked about earlier. It's called the cancel technique. So, anytime you hear that addicted voice pop up in your mind and you're thinking, oh, I got a craving, I'm going to go smoke, or oh, I've had a really bad day, I'm going to go smoke, identify that as the addicted voice speaking, not your voice. Identify the things in life that you actually crave: more money, better relationships, more time, whatever it is. Call out the lies that addicted voice is spewing and manipulating you with, and simply say, cancel, cancel, cancel. Identify the lie, repeat cancel to yourself 3 times, and then simply move on. There's no point in sitting here trying to negotiate with addiction, trying to negotiate with something that really is non negotiable. If you've chosen sobriety, if you've chosen recovery, I promise you life becomes infinitely less stressful when you make that non negotiable. So continue to cancel out those thoughts. Now, I have another technique too when these harsh emotions do come up and you're having a hard time dealing with them in sobriety, and it's called not surfing the wave. Again, not surfing the wave. So, this is what I picture. I picture myself sitting on a beach and I'm in a lounge chair drinking a seltzer water. And I'm looking out over the ocean, and there's a bunch of waves and a bunch of white caps. And each of those white caps represents something. Maybe it's anger, maybe it's depression, maybe it's anxiety, maybe it's that relationship that fell apart, maybe it's losing your job. And all of these white caps come with different emotional representations. You don't have to jump into the water and try and surf those emotions. All you have to do is sit there at shore, let the emotions wash up, and simply rinse back out into the ocean from where they came. You don't have to entangle yourself with the emotions that you are experiencing, but you do have to go work on all of the things that you quit, all of the reasons that you chose to quit to improve your life. You can act despite your emotions. And sitting on a beach in a lounge chair, drinking a seltzer water, not jumping in the water with the sharks, not jumping in the water with the white caps, was a really simple way that I learned how to allow emotions to come and go. It was a way how I learned to sit with the emotions without acting on them. So I would really encourage you guys to try that technique out next time the emotions feel a little bit overwhelming. 2 weeks without weed. Remember, your endocannabinoid system is rebalancing. If you're 2 weeks without weed and nicotine, remember, the nicotine receptors in your brain are rebalancing. Your brain and your body are learning how to function without a substance that's quite possibly been a large part of your life. Have some grace. Be gentle on yourself for now, okay? But not too gentle. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. But just understand what's going on and what you're going through and realize it's normal. It's not something that's out of the ballpark. Recall your why. I cannot emphasize this enough. That's why I have 2 slides on it. What were the reasons that you quit beyond simply quitting a drug? If my only goal in life was to quit smoking weed, my life would be fairly boring. If my only goal in life was to be sober, my life would be pretty boring. I quit for a reason. I quit because I envisioned a better future for myself, just like you. And you need to start putting together a plan as to how you're going to pursue the reasons as to why you actually quit. What can you begin to work on today? I recommend starting with the simple stuff. When you're coming out of addiction, nothing is beneath you. Maybe this is brushing your teeth. Maybe it's cleaning your car. Maybe it's cleaning your room. Maybe it's getting on a fresh set of clothes. Maybe it's getting back to your faith-based community. Start simple and then build on that simplicity, okay? I went from simply brushing my teeth again at night to creating an entire addiction recovery coaching company over the last several years. Start simple and build, build, build. This is what I would encourage you, though. Do something. The amount of people that I speak to in our one-on-one coaching programs that are struggling in their sobriety, when I ask them, what are you doing since you quit? What have you been working on? And the answer is nothing. I lay in bed all day and I watch TikTok videos. I don't know. I haven't really thought about, interacting with people. Working out, I'm too burned out to work out. Okay. This is not good. Get up and do something, do anything, but don't do nothing. Doing nothing, I promise you, is not going to produce the results that you're looking for. And even if the something that you do doesn't turn out to produce great results, it's a net negative. At least you tried, at least you did something, and at least you're building the habits and the patterns to start taking action on the things in your life that you actually care about. And let me remind everyone watching this, that's not weed, that's not nicotine, that's not drugs. If you actually cared about those things, you would not have made it 20 minutes into today's video. Addiction's going to try and manipulate you into thinking you care about those things, but you don't. So start to focus on the things that you actually care about and take action on those things. Another common issue that I see, and people are going to look at me and say, well, isn't this you? And the answer is really no. People become consumed by their recovery process. It's all they talk about. It's all they think about. It's the only thing they wind up pursuing in life. They trade the addiction of substances for the addiction of recovery. And I think that's a great thing. That's awesome. That's going to put you in a million times better place than you were in. But you see people who are involved in AA or MA or NA for 20, 30 years, and they relapse at year 15. It's my professional opinion that they never truly let go and moved on from the substance. Personally, I did not want to be involved in recovery for the rest of my life. I wanted to quit the drug, get recovered, and then move on. Move on with my business, move on with my finances, move on with my family, move on with my career. Now, I chose to make a career and an income out of addiction recovery coaching because it is something that I am super passionate about and happen to be incredibly good at. That's why all of our coaching has a money back guarantee. If that's not your intention, I would highly recommend finding something else. Just like I've filled in many other aspects of my life. I have hobbies. I have many other businesses, so I don't become over obsessed with recovery and burned out by it. I have a lot of things going that I've worked hard to create. But I would encourage you not to get too tied up in recovery because there has to be a next step. There has to be another chapter in your life. We have to move on from the drug eventually. And this is how you truly get to a place where you come not to care about weed, not to care about alcohol, not to care about the narcotics. You create another life for yourself. Again, look, if your business becomes the pursuit of addiction recovery and helping others, that's awesome. All the power to you. That's something that I chose to do. But for a lot of people watching this, that's not going to be the case. So my question is, what is it? What is it that you want to pursue? Is it getting into YouTube programs to create content? Is it getting, coaching for your career to level up there? Is it working with a relationship coach to better your relationships? I don't know. That's for you to figure out. And recovery and sobriety is an opportunity to do just that. It's not an opportunity to become consumed by recovery, constantly think about the drug, and then just wind up returning to the substance eventually. One goal ends, another goal begins. I am such a proponent of this. Long-term benefit is what we are looking for from our goals, not short-term outcomes. Drugs have provided us with short-term outcomes and almost zero net return on long-term benefits. That's why you guys are watching this. That's why I'm making this content. Sobriety, recovery, on the other hand, becoming recovered provides us with long-term outcomes and long-term benefits. That's what we're seeking. Constantly refresh your goals, guys. One goal ends, another one opens. Okay, I haven't changed that addiction mindset that I have, which I explained what that is in part 2 of this series. I'm constantly jumping to the next thing, the next thrill, the next chase, the next high. But I've chosen to focus on things that give me a positive net return on my time, on my grit, on my discipline, on my resilience, on my efforts. Okay? Choose challenges in life, or life will choose them for you. You want to focus on creating your own friction. I promise you, doing what I do in addiction recovery coaching in YouTube has been anything but stress free. Believe it or not, I intentionally create a lot of friction in my life, whether that's through business, whether that's through physically challenging myself, or whether that's through mentally challenging myself through, whatever. Maybe I'm trying to fast, or maybe I'm trying to take cold showers. Whatever it is I'm doing, I'm constantly creating friction intentionally in my life. The difference is, instead of addiction choosing the friction for me, I am the one that's choosing the friction. I'm the one that's intentionally choosing the challenge. This is what we call living life on our terms and not on the terms of addiction or substance use. Constantly be refreshing those goals. I get a win, I celebrate it briefly, and I'm right on to the next thing. That's how I've always operated. That's how I'm always going to continue to operate, because that mentality has served me very, very well throughout my recovery process. This is probably my favorite part of this entire presentation, and it's called building your recovery or sobriety castle. Okay. I want you to create an environment where addiction is not welcome. This is your house. This is your castle. This is your place of solitude and peace, and addiction is not welcome. I want you guys to build a castle that is impenetrable. And if you're still watching 26 minutes in, just comment building my castle so I know how far people get through these videos for me. This is how you can picture it. You're going to start to build this castle brick by brick. The initial bricks are the foundation for your recovery process. Maybe this is honesty with your family, honesty with your significant other, honesty with your friends in your faith-based community. Maybe that's some of the foundational bricks, okay? And then we're gonna get finances, and maybe this is a career. So one of the pillars in your recovery process becomes building and further developing your career, or if you're employed for yourself like myself, your business. Okay. Boom, here's a foundational pillar. And in case that business fails, in case YouTube fails, I got the chiropractic business. And in case that fails, we got the Kick It supplement business, the Kick It supplement products. And in case that business fails, we have the brand sponsorship business on TikTok. So I'm constantly building these pillars, these foundational things that are important to me. And if you guys are curious what my 11 pillars are, I have a free PDF guide called like the 11 pillars of recovery or sobriety. You can download that free PDF and learn more. Exercise might be one, faith might be one. So now I got my foundational bricks. Now I got these pillars that I've been constructing over the years. Now maybe I got a few relationships and a few friendships, and maybe the relationships represent the bridge and the friendships represent the moat, and my significant other represents I don't know, the guards outside, or the arrows, my self-defense system of my castle. Maybe it's a pet. Maybe it's a community that you're part of. Maybe it's physical exercise or becoming part of a yoga studio or Pilates studio. I want you to think about all the different aspects of your life that you have an opportunity to further rebuild or build on. And I want you to strengthen each of those things so you create a life that is impenetrable to addiction, a life that brings you joy, a life that brings you a degree of happiness, a life that you can wake up and say that you are truly proud to be living and continually pursuing. This is how we don't succumb to addiction in the future. If we don't build this castle, if we don't build these things, Where's your defense mechanism for the next time grief or depression strikes? What's your defense mechanism? What's your safe place that you can go to the next time hardship comes? Because it is coming. There is no way around that. And I want you guys to be ready for those situations of peer pressure and sadness and grief. I want you to have a place that you can go to that you've created through your blood, sweat, and tears in the sobriety process that you truly feel is impenetrable. And this is something that needs, guess what? You don't just make this castle and then forget about it. Just like owning a house, just like having a happy, healthy relationship, these things take maintenance. Okay. So this isn't something that you build and forget about. Because if you do that and you don't continue to add to it and you don't continue to update it, it's going to fall apart. The castle's going to crumble. And if all these things start to crumble because you chose not to maintain them, I promise later on in life, addiction is going to start to see those flaws and it's going to start to take advantage of those opportunities. I promise you, my castle is impenetrable. And I've created that and I maintain that over the last, 7, 8 years now since I've quit. Brick by brick. Pick one thing and begin there. My motivational rant that I just provided you with is awesome. But the reality is, when you first quit an addiction, you have to pick one thing. And I recommend picking something simple. And you're going to start to build it brick by brick, piece by piece. This is going to take time. It's going to take work. But if you try and throw up the foundational pillars and you try and do the, upgraded bridge and the updated kitchen and the updated flooring before you lay down the foundation, you're getting ahead of yourself and you're not going to have the stability to maintain things. So one thing at a time. You don't want to overwhelm yourself biting on more than you can chew. You can always add additions to these castles as you go throughout your sobriety and recovery process. The reality is, I would start with finding a new obsession. The only cure for one obsession, drugs being an obsession, is a new obsession, something that you can truly get into. And for me, it didn't turn out to be one obsession. I've had to build multiple obsessions, and I'm continually picking up new ones. I'm just very clear on what those obsessions are going to be. And I'm very organized in that I anticipate each of those obsessions to give me some positive net return in some category of my life, whether it's faith, relationships, money, business, whatever, physical fitness, health, whatever it may be. Addiction is not welcome. This is the purpose. This is what building recovery is all about. It's building a life where we don't negotiate with addiction. It's built in the work that you do, right? Your work equals your worth. Where you put in the work is where you will get the self-worth. It's building in your faith. It's built in your routine. It's built in your relationships. It's built in your physical and mental health. It's built in your mindset. It's built in your hobbies. It's built in the people that you surround yourself with and the environments that you intentionally put yourself in. This is how we create a space, a castle, where addiction is no longer welcome. And if you commented, building my castle, tell me, what are the pillars? What are the bricks? What are the things that you're going to build upon to create a place where addiction is not welcome, to create a place where there is no negotiation with that addicted voice, because our surroundings have become so powerful. Another thing I would recommend building is patience. Patience is the calm acceptance that things can happen in a different order than the one you have in mind. And this is really talking about delayed gratification, something that I deeply had to improve throughout my quitting and sobriety process. Okay. It's understandable that you've quit substances and the business isn't where you want it to be, and the marriage isn't where you want it to be, and the kids aren't where you want them to be in life because maybe you haven't been there for them how you should. Okay. It's understandable that that's the case, but you need to understand that it's going to take time to fix those things. I want you to work with speed. I want you to work with consistency. I don't want you to sit there and say, oh, it's going to take forever. That's BS. But I do want you to accept that there may have been years of addiction that we're undoing, 9 years for me that I had to undo, and that wasn't going to happen overnight. And so many people are going to fall short on this because they don't practice delayed gratification and radical acceptance of the circumstances that they're currently in. And on the flip side, radical acceptance that it's up to them to change those circumstances. So don't fall for that mindset. It's weak, it's debilitating, it's a victim mindset, and it gives a very negative perspective on life. Take the positive one that I'm trying to give you guys today. Don't rush. It's a process, but don't waste time. Don't rush, but act with urgency. Don't rush, but act with purpose. I don't want you to sit around and say, oh, it takes time. Time heals all. Time is going by every moment that me and you are watching this. Time is passing you right now. Okay? It's not an infinite resource, nor is our energy. Time and energy being the two most valuable things we have. Act purposely and purpose driven with your time and your energy, and act with a sense of urgency. Okay? Don't overwhelm yourself, but don't go too easy on yourself. You know, especially if you've been doing drugs for a long time, you got some catching up to do. Look how far you've come. Take a moment and acknowledge that. Even if you're 35 minutes into this video, acknowledge that. I don't ever want you to give up again on all the effort that you've put forth, all the hard work that you put in, and all the suffering that you went through on those withdrawals. Make it count, okay? The pain that you've experienced going through addiction, and then eventually the pain of withdrawal and getting sober, is pain with purpose. Addiction is pain without purpose. It's suffering without intention. It's needless, it's pointless, and it's endless in addiction. This, though, putting in the work, going through the challenges, breaking down the obstacles, overcoming the barriers, is pain with purpose. And I promise you there's going to be a net positive return on that suffering, on that hardship, and on that pain that you've gone through, if you will it so, if you make it so, if you give it purpose, okay? If you don't give it purpose, you're going to be stuck in this endless cycle. Think of it like running a marathon, right? There's a purpose. These people are training with purpose. They're training because they have a goal in mind. It's painful. It's not easy to run a marathon, but it's pain with purpose. It's pain with intention. So please acknowledge how far you've come and don't backtrack on that. Chances are you've backtracked 100 times before. Stop backtracking. You're going to have highs, you're going to have lows, you're going to have ups, and you're going to have points in time where you feel like you're moving backwards. But as long as you keep your eye on the target, as long as you keep front sight focused, I promise you're not going to fall backwards. I promise you might fail, but failure is part of the learning process. That's part of moving forward. Failure is not falling backwards. It's part of moving forward. Maintain accountability throughout this journey. It's only when you take responsibility for your life that you discover how truly powerful you are. Be accountable for yourself, or you will be held accountable to someone or something else. And there's a good chance that someone or something else has been addiction. You have to be accountable for yourself. It's okay if you need help. It's okay if you need support. It's okay if you're so beat down that you can't get back up on your own. I understand that, and I'm not judging you for that. But it's your job to reach out for a helping hand and say, hey, I'm not done. I'm not dead yet. I just need a little bit of help. I just need someone to grab my hand and pull me up, and then I'll start walking on my own. That is your responsibility, and that can only come from within you. And if you're having a hard time finding it, get on a one-on-one call, get with a therapist, get with a friend, get with a support network, and get with a community of people who are going to help pick you back up if you have truly fallen down and you feel like you can't. At least give a shout out for help and make an honest effort to get it. Everyone is capable of that. Everyone is. Maintain a routine. This is huge as you're building this sobriety castle and recovery process, whatever you want to call it. You just quit a drug. your brain is going to crave simplicity. Okay? Make life as streamlined and as simple as possible for yourself right now. I largely wear the same exact set of attire day in and day out. Okay? Like, I don't wear the same clothes every day, but I have multiple versions of the exact same clothing. I'm usually in black scrubs. Okay? Monday through Saturday, I'm wearing black scrubs. They look identical. Okay? That's for simplicity. That is to not overwhelm myself with what am I going to wear today. That also frees up a lot of time for me to do things like this. How I eat is largely the same day to day. How I work, largely the same routine day to day. Start to think simple. Declutter your room, declutter your car, declutter your workspace, declutter your closet, declutter your pantry, and start to get honed in on making simple, repetitive decisions over and over and over again that are good for you. That's part of the simplicity of addiction. I'm doing a drug. I'm doing a drug. I'm getting high. I have a craving. I'm doing a drug again. Despite all the chaos and all the friction addiction creates, it's a relatively simple routine. I'm going to go to work. I'm going to go home. I'm going to get high. I'm going to wake up. I'm going to get high. Start to create simplicity in your routines and declutter. Having a routine is vital when it comes to quitting an addiction. I've made several videos on developing a routine on my channel where I go into detail about how to do that. Don't get cocky, okay? You guys might hear me speaking now with a lot of conviction, and I might sound cocky in my own journey saying that my castle is truly impenetrable, which it is, but don't get cocky on yourself, okay? If you're feeling good, constantly remind yourself as to why that is. Because if you think you're feeling good because you can just go do whatever you want to do without consequences, that's wrong, and that's going to lead to relapse. This is not your fight anymore, okay? You have many more battles and many more struggles ahead, and sobriety and recovery is where you're going to find the strength to take on those battles and take on those challenges. So don't get cocky with yourself and acknowledge what's ahead. Plan for obstacles going forward. If you plan for obstacles and you have a plan B, D, C through Z, you're going to be fine. But if you don't have a plan, when crap hits the fan, you're going to fall. You're going to be in trouble. So federal legalization of weed is coming. If it's not already on every corner where you live, it's going to be soon. Have a plan for that. The new job is coming. Getting fired is coming. The illness is coming. The next war, the next pandemic, it's coming. The next good thing in your life, maybe the next relationship, the next child, the next marriage, the next celebration. All of these things are coming. This is life, and we have to be ready for it. How do you get ready for it? By being persistent and disciplined in your sobriety process, okay? When COVID hit, when the pandemic hit, my businesses did exceptionally well. I had my best years that I had during that period of time because I was prepared for the challenge, because I learned the tools that I needed throughout my recovery and sobriety process. How did I learn the tools? By simply staying sober and forcing myself not to pick up a drink, not to pick up a drug, not to pick up weed. That's how I strengthened discipline and persistence and determination. That's why when a bad thing happens, I don't get burned by it. I don't get distracted by it. I don't get down on it. That's why I'm able to pick myself back up. You guys have the same opportunity right now, today. If you haven't quit weed yet, maybe today's the day you quit. Maybe today's the day you create that opportunity for yourself and you start to create a game plan for how you're going to continue your success, even in light of failures, because failures will happen. There is a life after drugs, and that life has a lot more to do with than just sobriety and recovery. Although this is a major part of my life and what I do, it's a career choice for me, okay? That's a large reason why I do this. Life does not become easier, but rather you become more resilient, okay? life after drugs is in theory easier, but it's easier because of the strength that you've built throughout your recovery and sobriety process. It's easier because you're no longer having, excuse me, one moment. It's easier because you're no longer having to deal with all of the BS and all of the drama that addiction created for you. So now you have more energy, you have more time to put towards the actual challenges that you're taking on in life. Life will still be hard. It's just a different type of hard. It's a more prepared type of hard. Sober is a beginning, not an end. Where you are today is not where you should be tomorrow. Where you are next year is not where you should be the year after that. And if you're stuck in the same spot over and over and over again, you need to reevaluate your coping mechanisms. You need to reevaluate your goals. You need to reevaluate the actions that you're taking every day. And you need to evaluate how hard it is you're actually trying. I thought for years that I was trying to get sober, that I was trying to build a business, that I was trying to get that next relationship. I wasn't even scratching the surface of trying. Working full time in my chiropractic offices and running those, working full time on YouTube and building this out, working full time on a supplement industry, having a family, having a child, trying. That's effort. And it is unbelievable the amount of effort that it's taken into comparison when I thought that I was trying. Okay. There's a beautiful life ahead of you after drugs. There really, really is. And I want you guys to just understand this is about so much more than getting sober. And look, you might not have the same goals that I had, having a family, having your own business. That's fine. You might have totally different goals. I want you to really try, though. Really, really, really try. And you'll know when you're really trying. It will hit you one day because you're going to look back and you're going to say, wow, I wasn't trying before. Because when you're really trying, you're really going to be succeeding. That I promise you. One of my favorite David Goggins quotes, what if? What if today's the day you quit? What if today's the day that you started to build a better life for yourself? What if you didn't smoke? What's the worst thing that will happen? I was recently talking to a client that I have loved working with so much from Tel Aviv. And he said, Dr. Frank, one of the things that has helped me, not go back to drugs is I simply say to myself, what if I don't smoke? Yeah, I might get some cravings. Yeah, I might get some withdrawals. Yeah, I might be irritated. But what if I reclaim my physical health? What if I start making more money? What if I start to find something that I can truly become passionately obsessed about? What if I make a better life for myself? What's the worst that happens if I don't pick up that drug tomorrow? Right? What's the worst that happens if you don't pick up that drug at the end of this video? What's the worst that happens? What if? That's the question that I think you have to ask yourself. And then on the flip side, I could say, what if you don't pursue sobriety? What's the worst that happens if you do continue down the current path with you're on, the path that's not working? Because if it was working, you wouldn't be 48 minutes into this video. What if you don't change? What if you stay the same? This is one of my favorite David Goggins quotes. It gets me every time. As we come to the conclusion of this, part 3 of this 3-part series, I want to remind you guys, go back and watch parts 1 and part 2 in their entirety. Watch these videos 100 times if you have to. Repetition is everything, okay? But really don't watch it 100 times because at that point you should be out there living your life. I mean, I've made videos about stopping watching my videos because I want you guys to be out there living, not consuming. Listen, if you need help, if you need that hand, if you need some guidance, if you need help with the mindset, because addiction largely breaks our minds, one-on-one coaching is still available. And I take a ton of pride in the one-on-one coaching. That's why it all has a money-back guarantee. We're going to have a 100% free support community coming up. We used to charge $4 for it. It's going to be totally free, and it's called the Kick It Support Community. And we're doing this in anticipation of our Kick It product that we're launching. It's called Crave Less. You can stay tuned for the channel if you want to learn more about this product. It's a product that is supplemental to the mindset and the necessary lifestyle changes that you're going to make to get sober and begin your recovery process. But I am super excited about it. So keep an eye out for that free community, or keep an eye out for that that launch list. Join it there. Guys, we have merchandise on our channel. We have affiliate links to books that I enjoy reading and journals that I enjoy in the video description. I really appreciate it when you guys purchase through those affiliate links. It helps out the channel. Channel donations are always welcome. And this was part 3 of 3. This concludes the masterclass on quitting smoking weed. I gave it away for free because sobriety is free. Yes, I charge for the one-on-one coaching. My time, my knowledge, it's not free if you want to take my time, okay? That's not free. But sobriety is free. And I'm proving that to you guys by giving you everything you need, every mindset, every blueprint, every journal, every book that you need to discover recovery on your own. I didn't hold anything back in this masterclass. There's no secret sauce. The only thing that's a little different is if you do want help with your unique situation, that's where the one-on-one coaching can come in, and it kind of helps you make sense of the addicted voice versus your voice, and it kind of helps you realize how you're being manipulated by addiction on a unique level. I guess that's the only thing that it's impossible to give you that for free because I don't know you personally. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this masterclass. I'm going to make one on nicotine. I'm going to make one on adult media content, and I'm going to make a ton more to come. All right, guys, I hope to see you on the pre-launch list or in our Kick It support community, or, on a one-on-one call, or just on the channel in the comments. I'll see you guys soon.